Welcome, Hans family, to HANZOWEEN Day 3. HANZOWEEN is 31 tutorials in October. That means a tutorial every single day. So you guys are going to be seeing a fuck ton of me, and you know, you're just going to have to deal with it. Because I love you guys, and I just want to share my face with you every day of October. This is going to be a collab with the beautiful Alex Faction. He did a witch doctor, and I am his cute little voodoo doll. Please go check him out. He is also doing 31 days of Halloween. All product details will be listed down below, my codes and links so you can save some money and whatnot, and let's just get to the tutorial. We're going to be starting off by putting a nice layer of this light brown paint from Mehron all over our face and body. I'm using a sponge because I don't really want it to be super even. This is a voodoo doll, the burlap kind of texture, I want it to be messy, so I'm just patting it on with that sponge. With some white paint from Mehron, I do want to kind of add a little bit of highlights to my face, but I also want to just highlight some of the burlap too. So with this sponge you get that perfect messy texture. So I'm putting this mainly all over the high points of my face and body. Obviously we need some contour as well on our voodoo doll. So using the brown paint from Mehron, I am just going to, in stippling motions, put this all over where I would regularly contour my face. Even though I'm not trying to make my face look much slimmer, I am trying to add as much dimension as possible, including the eyes where the buttons will go. I'm going to put a heart on my chest, so I want tons of shadow and dimension around there as well. For even more dimension, go in with some black paint, and I'm just going to put it very lightly, and I'm not going to use a whole lot. I just want a little bit of darkness. My beautiful little voodoo heart obviously needs to be red, so using a small detail brush from Mehron and this red paint, I am just going to fill that in. When you move on to your little button eyes, make sure to measure and kind of look at both of your eyes at the same time when you do them. You want it to be as perfect of a circle as possible, but it will take a little bit. I had to go back and really take my time and really try to get this nice circle, because you do want the illusion when your eye is closed of this nice natural circle. Set that with some black eyeshadow, and we're good to go with that for a little bit. This eyeshadow from Makeup Geek called Mocha is absolutely to die for. It's the perfect kind of cool shade to add a little bit of darkness to where my stitched face will begin. So going in with a angled brush from Morphe, I'm just going to start adding in where these pieces of my face are ripped together and stitched up. I want to give the illusion that one portion is kind of on top of the other, so naturally a shadow would be cast down onto one side. So I am just going to take that line I put down and blend it out just a little bit onto one side. As well as with the bottom, you want this little tiny bit of shadow to be underneath where that fabric would be laying on top of the other fabric. This Makeup Geek black called Corrupt is so amazing, one of the darkest blacks I've ever used, and I am just going to put that all through with the shadow again, but focusing more towards that line, because I really want a very sharp, defined line for that fabric. I do want it to look a little weathered and torn down, so I'm not keeping it to perfectly straight lines. I want some little portions to be darker and rigid and kind of fucked up. Still using that black shadow, I just want to darken up a few spots, especially focusing around the eyes and around the heart. Using a tiny bit of that white Mehron paint, I am just putting a little bit of highlights with a Morphe brush. I don't want to put this on every part, just basically where any part of the fabric would curve upwards, I want to highlight. For the stitches, I did mix a little bit of white and that light brown together to get this cream, and I'm just going to start drawing them all over the ridges of fabric to connect all of them together. I didn't want an exact pattern to these, I wanted these to be kind of random, so I am just doing X's and straight lines whenever I choose. With this little Morphe brush, I am now going to start making it look like the stitches are actually pulling the fabric together. I want there to look like there's a little bit of tension. In order to do this, just add a little bit of shadow around the curve of every stitch. I'm also then making it look like one stitch on the X's is on top of the other, because naturally that's what would happen. You don't want to blend it too much out, and you want to keep most of the shadow very close to the stitch because it wouldn't have too much tension pulling the fabric too far. It would mainly just have a little bit of tension around where the stitch is going into the fabric. Make sure to also add some shadows underneath some of these little stitches, not just on the curves, because they are pulled up from the fabric. With that same black again from Makeup Geek, we want to intensify some of these little curves. I'm not completely covering up the brown, I'm just staying closer to the actual stitch itself and just adding even more shadow, because the darker you go, the more these things will actually pop out. To make these stitches look even more curved and like they're popping off of the skin, I am taking the white face paint without any other colors added to it and just putting it on the middle of every stitch. Basically, this will make it look like it's curving upwards because the light would naturally hit the top of the middle of the stitch the most. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing around the heart with that same angled brush and that same mocha color mixed with a little bit of that black Corrupt from Makeup Geek. And I basically wanted it to look like my heart had been kind of ripped off my Voodoo doll and stitched back together. So I am making this heart completely on its own to make it look like it is on top of all of the other fabrics. Do the same thing, add a little bit of black in some of the darker curves and areas to give it a little more dimension. This Voodoo doll is supposed to be messy, it doesn't look perfect, so make it kind of random. I wanted to do some little stitches across the shoulders as well, so I'm doing that the same exact way I've done the other ones. Of course, I gotta highlight too, so just like before, highlight a few of the little curves that would kind of catch the light from the high points of the light source. Your shoulders, your inner chest, maybe a few of the little curves of the fabric on the heart, wherever you think it would work. Use that same mixture of white and very light brown to make your stitches. I did these a little bit bigger than the ones on my face, and very random on the heart as well. And again, just using that same Morphe brush and the Corrupt black color from Makeup Geek and Mocha, just to make it, again, look like the stitches are holding together the fabric. Mocha is perfect for this because it is a very cool toned dark brown. Our heart looked a little flat, needed some texture. So with that sponge and a little bit of white and red paint mixed together, I just kind of wanted to give it another little bit of burlap look to it. And then using a small fluffy brush, I just wanted to obviously give it more dimension with some black eyeshadow, focusing on one side. Using this small contour brush from Sigma, I am going to use a little bit more of the Corrupt eyeshadow, set the black paint again, and just put it around the eye sockets to really darken them up. Buttons have usually 4 little holes where the stitches can go into, so doing that with some white paint, and then putting some little lines to show some highlights of the different indentions of the buttons. I didn't want them to be quite as bright as the white dots, I just wanted them to be a muted accent. Basically, I just want this bitch to look as realistic as possible, know what I'm saying? I thought at this point I was done, but obviously I need some little pins stuck in my heart, so using the white and black paint mixed together to draw the actual pin, and then some red paint to draw the little pin head. I went with some white paint just to highlight it a little bit to make it look a little more round, and then using some black paint on the inner part of the pin and the outer to give it the illusion that it has some shadow coming from the pinhead and coming from the heart itself. It's sticking out of the skin, so it needs a shadow, so using that Mocha color, I am just creating a shadow that's cast from the pin onto the fabric itself. I wanted to show a little bit of highlight on the portions of the stitches that are sticking into the fabric, so I'm just putting a very small line of a curve onto each indentation of the stitch. And this, you guys, is the final look. I hope you guys liked this. I had a fucking blast doing this one. This has been one of my favorite looks that I've filmed so far. I can't wait to show you what's next, and as always, please use the hashtag HANZOWEEN if you recreate any of these looks. I'm dying to see what you guys are doing for Halloween. So yeah, recreate them, have some fun, and throw that hashtag on some shit so I can see what you're doing. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will just see your sexy faces tomorrow.